Hi, we are Modernism Group 2, and we are going to talk about the evolution of human beings, technology, and AI. I'm going to talk about brief introduction of what we will discuss. The fourth industrial revolution is in progress in the modern society. The characteristic of the fourth industrial revolution is an industrial change that allows the establishment of a virtual physical system that integrates reality and virtual reality through robots and AI to control things automatically. Development in robot technology, drone, VR, and self-driving car is a fruit of the fourth industrial revolution, and a key to success of technological development is due to human beings' evolution. This evolution of human beings is what can be found in Darwin's idea. In The Origin of Species, he talks about the continuous disagreements and changing decisions of experts about when new forms were found. He also specifies that distinction between species and varieties is arbitrary. He put importance of escaping from the illusion of setting the archetype, since naturalists have treated the individuals of a species differed from one another as marginal cases and have generally considered such variation to be limited and unimportant deviations from the archetype of each species. However, Darwin said that the even marginal deviations of each species are important, and it is crucial to understand how each species could survive with those deviations. Darwin made a variation among individuals of the same species central to understand the natural world. In the given text, he said, hence it is the most flourishing, or as they may be called, dominant species, those which range widely, are the most diffused in their own country, and are the most numerous in individuals, which often produce well-marked varieties, or as I consider them, incipient species. Hereby, the incipient species means a permanent variation that exhibits distinct characteristics in the process of transition to a new species. The mutation of an object is the first step toward variety, and it shows a more pronounced characteristic, advancing to permanent onset and moving on to subspecies or species. Based on his idea about evolution, the cause of human beings moving forward to cutting-edge technology is derived from evolution with marginal deviations compared to other species, which can be regarded as abilities to think and apply in order to survive in the nature of natural selection. However, as human beings develop their lifestyles with state-of-art technologies, there are also downsides of technological development. Though development gives us a lot of convenience in the modern society, sometimes it gives us a fear of being surveilled. Development in technologies promotes the possibility of us being exposed easily. We are likely to lose our privacy. We not only feel comfortable but also feel uncomfortable from technologies. The very impression can be understood in terms of meaning of uncanny. Freud said uncanny is in reality nothing new or alien, but something which is a familiar and old established in the mind and which has become alienated from it only through the process of repression. Many people experience the feeling in the highest degree in relation to spirits and ghosts. When we use the convenience of modernity, we are always being watched by surveillance cameras. We do not recognize them usually since they are literally just cameras for surveillance. However, from time to time, we experience some uncanny feeling that someone or something invisible is watching us like Big Brother. Even the Google or YouTube knows what we like to surf and watch. Familiar technologies are not always on human beings' side. From these two basic ideas of Darwin and Freud, we are going to discuss what is the example of the human evolution in technology and uncanny feeling from technologies with ongoing modern events such as coronavirus crisis, breadcrumb technology. In addition, by interpreting the movie Snowpiercer, we will talk about the future of a technological society applying the two thinkers' opinion. By doing so, we will sum up and suggest our final conclusion. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jose and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons through the history and evolution of healthcare. I know, guys, you're wondering on how the topic connects into our readings that we've taken in class. As Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, introduced the scientific theory that population evolved over the course of generation through a process of natural selection. So on this topic, I'll discuss on how healthcare evolved from natural medicines into the modern technology. As an overview, people had been practicing medicines for over 1 million years. However, it has not always been as advanced as it today. With new innovative technology, doctors and scientists that were able to create more treatments and cures than before. It means that the lifespan of a living person is higher than before. So now let's move on ancient time. Um, on this time, like on this period, people use herbs and plants as medicines, on which some are used today. Remedies derived from 500 plants. For example, garlic, jumper, cannabis, castor beans, aloe, and mandrake. For cons, yeah, even even they use magic and medical plants to cure a disease. But the problem is it can't cure the disease perfectly. They also use trepanation or trefining was used to treat insanity and epilepsy. Trepanation or trefining means that it is the surgical intervention in which a hole or other like other parts of the body drilled or scrapped into human skull. Next is at the Dark and Middle Age from about 410 AD to 400 AD. Um, this time, people renewed interest in the medical of Greeks and Romans, and for the cons, a pandemic of bubonic plague killed three-quarters of the population of Europe and Asia. Plus, the major diseases were smallpox, tuberculosis, the plague, and malaria. As for Renaissance, from about 14,000 to 1,650, um, yeah, the development of printing press allowed knowledge to spread others. It means not only one country have an idea on how to cure a disease, but it was shared to other countries. For example, is the book about the human anatomy that was published at this time. This gives us information on how human is constructed, but even though we have a knowledge on human diseases are still rampant and lifespan are still slow. For the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, yeah, a lot of people discovered ways on how to cure diseases. Albert Speer, William Harvey, Anton van Leeuwenhoek, apothecaries prescribed and sold medicines. Edward Jenner, he discovered about vaccines. Yeah, for the cons, even though that there's a lot of vaccination, it causes like still causes of the disease. The causes of disease is not still known, and many people died from the infection, and there is no anesthetic available. On 19th and 20th centuries, they opened prestigious medical schools like the Royal College of Surgeons, founded in London. They also have like trial and error about the anesthetics, but still like the bubonic pandemic, a new pandemics arise, and it's called cholera pandemic, influenza pandemic, and still the rise of HIV, diabetes, AIDS, and cancer are not still cured on, or they don't still have any vaccines on it. And lastly, for 21st century, some of vaccines for cancer was made. For example, vaccines for shingle and cervical cancer. Towards the future, a cure for cancer and heart disease, and even for AIDS, and plus now having transplant for every organ that can expand people's lifespan. As for cons, the new viruses were found, for example, SARS pandemic last 2002 until 2004. And as we all know, we are suffering now in COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic. Even if we are now in the age, still there's a lot of things to discover. Johan will take about more COVID-19 later on his presentation. So, as Charles Darwin says about natural selection, it is the process through which population of living organisms adapt and change, by which individuals and population are naturally variable. Yeah. So, as we can see before, we don't have any cure on the specific disease because of the evolution of healthcare is not that good as today. But still, we need to learn more about and evolve as the living organism like viruses evolve and mutate as times goes by. So in that case, we will be ready to cure any diseases that can be appear in the near future. And lastly, as you can see on the natural code of natural selection, it means on the theory of natural selection, we can clearly understand the full meaning of that old canon is natural history. Natura non facit sectum, it means nature does not make jump. Here, Darwin is saying that though things may jarring and random when looking at the development of species, evolution comes into focus when looking at a species history. Thank you for listening, and now I'm going to pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Suel, and I will continue on with our presentation. Technology, a part of our life. The internet is the connection of data and people all over the world, and an innovation of communication. We can admittedly say that internet is a lifestyle, integrated in daily activities such as Netflix, social media, YouTube, gaming, healthcare, etc. So what's the big idea behind tracking users' information and showing users what interests them? How does the internet do that? First of all, what is an algorithm? An algorithm is nothing more than a set of instructions, just like a recipe or a how-to book. And the internet relies on many algorithms in order to function properly. For example, Google's algorithm does the work for you by searching out web pages that contain the keywords you use to search, then assigning a rank to each page based on several factors, including how many times the keywords appear on the page. Which hints the breadcrumb theory, where we are leaving trails everywhere and drop crumbs of bread that internet picks up and stores that data. There are also voice recognition searches included. When we share a conversation about a specific topic with our friends, our phones listen and highlight keywords that pique our interest, and then show pop-up internet ads accordingly, even though we did not search for it separately. So, what's the deal with algorithm? The advantages of algorithms are filtering and personalization of advertisements according to users' preference. Second, they track your needs. For example, if you search diet on a search engine, there will be diet advertisements all over your social media like Facebook or Instagram. Moving on to disadvantages, algorithms are an invasion of privacy. According to Megan Jones, she refers to algorithms as rude. I know you're made up of computer code, so it's understandable you'd favor logic and efficiency over any degree of social decorum. But it's time you learned some etiquette, because, as I'm sure, more than 3.5 billion users worldwide would agree, you're rude as hell. Moving on to more disadvantages, algorithms could be isolating you from opposing views, exaggerating your own biases, and perpetuating perhaps racial or gender biases. They also function as a social control. But we thought of this from a utilitarianism point of view of technology innovation. Utilitarianism is a moral theory according to which an action is right if and only if it conforms to the principle of utility found by Jeremy Bentham. It's also maximization of good consequences. Even if you believe that privacy is important and valuable, people still agree that there are ways in which the collection of vast amounts of data, such as by listening in on our conversations or our search engines and so on, it can also help promote the common good and also prevent evil or the bad. Thank you.
Hello, Professor. Now it's my turn to talk about the subject, and I've chosen the COVID-19 as like how to implement Darwinism and Nietzsche in this phenomenon. So, as I said, as I write on the screen, the new coronavirus has reminded us how render us adept to Darwin, because like humans, like humans who survive by multiplying by reproduction, the microvirus does nearly the same. The virus evolves and mutates, changing its structure in order and thereby multiply and then survive in humans and in animals. So, like Darwin said, survival of the fittest. It's not a coincidence that Homo sapiens are the species who are alive today. We adapted early, and that's why we are alive today. So it's almost uncanny and a bit ironic that how much humans and virus actually remind us the same. Because we will have this instinct to survive. We just need a host, us having the earth and the virus having us. But like I said, the virus is not trying to kill us, but it basically is. But it doesn't want to kill us because then it dies itself. But yeah, so a virus, like us, works smart, and it multiplies and spreads all the entire world to secure its existence. Yeah, but in early years, viruses were far more dangerous as they are now. Let's take the Spanish flu, who killed between 17 and 50 million people, because we could not test, we could not isolate, we didn't know what's going on, we were not smart back then. But in modern days, fortunately, this has changed, because now we have the tools to combat viruses such as COVID-19, because with the advancement of GPS and smartphones and worldwide internet access, we now have the tools to detect these outbreaks much faster. Let's take a random city in South Korea, and you can see if the search history is changing, because a lot of people is typing in symptoms of, let's say, COVID-19. They would know there's a lot of maybe a lot of infecting people in that city, and then we can isolate that city and thereby move on, which is kind of smart. And that's why technology has advanced us. So in the modern days, virus is not that dangerous anymore. And furthermore, Korea has created all these online applications for our smartphones that can like detect our location, so they make sure that infected people does not cross path. Infected people does not cross path with any healthy people. So we owe this technology advancements to Darwin, because we have evolved as humankind. We work smarter. So it's not about being survival of the fittest. Was more about being like fit, but now it's about being smart. And let me elaborate on that, because in earlier times it was more about having the best immune system, but now it has the biggest brain and the best technology in order to survive. So you can still have a bad immune defense and still survive COVID-19, because we're so far ahead technology. That's why we see like developed countries having the lowest death per capita, because we are the fittest in terms of like technology advancement. But this does raise a ethical question, which I will discuss now. So let's say South Korea has been acknowledged for breaking the curve first, as one of the first countries, because they implemented all these government policies like mask, social guidelines, sanitizer, and so on. But also they created these apps, so they secure that if a infected person has been there, all the people who were in the same place got notice. Whereas let's say just in Denmark, where I'm from, we did none of those things. We didn't take masks. We didn't make any apps. We only we completely closed down society, and we stayed indoors for 14 days. But the thing is, what we didn't interrupt, or we didn't take on people's privacy. So people's privacy in Denmark is still intact, whereas you could debatable say that that Korea is evading people's privacy. And this is kind of like a utilitarian question, because are you willing to sacrifice your privacy for the greater good? I think that's kind of an intelligent question, and it's kind of exciting. Are you willing to do that for the greater good? But it has some downsides as well, by giving all your personal data to the government. I don't think anyone would like that. Yeah. And I'll just end my note on a little quote from Darwin I found in the book, not in our excerpt. He says, "For the shield may be as important for the victory as the sword or spear." And what he's basically saying, I think, is kind of important to COVID-19 because he basically says it's important to have a defense strategy, because a sword or spear is like an offensive strategy, which can be interpreted as the vaccine, which is months or maybe years ahead of time. But because of all these development countries, all these technologies had this what you call it, this technology advancement, we were able to detect the virus and combat it very, very early. That was all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janet, and I'll be quickly reviewing the arguments presented in this video and wrap up our arguments through the conclusion that we came up as a group. Okay, so we have looked at pros and cons of several technologies in contemporary society and how they can be applied to what we have learned in class. We looked at men's evolution through Darwin's idea and how much technology infiltrated our daily lives that it came to the point where it brings out uncanny feelings from us. Then we also interpreted COVID-19 under Darwinism and discussed pros and cons of technological advancements such as medicinal development and algorithms. All the examples mentioned in this presentation demonstrate how technology is a double-edged sword. So while advancement of technology and change embody unseen danger, as Fourth Industrial Revolution began, cohabitation between man and machine became almost inevitable. For example, just like it was mentioned in the introduction, all the rapid technological advancements for establishing virtual physical system is getting standardized in contemporary society. Drones are widely commercialized already, and Tesla is inches away from commercializing self-driving cars. While developments and changes are exciting for us, they also raise concerns. Just like GQ pointed out, concerns about getting replaced by machines and robots are mounting. Some people also plead the difficulty of keeping up with the fast-paced changes. However, I would like to lessen that worries by taking a point from Snowpiercer. This is a snippet from the film Snowpiercer. So at the end of the film, people find out that when the engine broke down, the engine of the train broke down, the head of the train decided to use a human boy to work the engines instead, since no type of technology or machinery can be as sophisticated as human beings. This is an alarming scene, but it also shows how machines cannot replace men completely. There are humanistic qualities that make men more human, such as empathy and creativity. Thus, when we develop the area that makes us uniquely human, we might be able to lead a life with technology as useful instruments. I'd like to wrap up this presentation by quoting Brian McGill, the speaker and activist in the field of human potentials and rights. Change can be beautiful when we are brave enough to evolve with it, and change can be brutal when we fearfully resist. My interpretation of this statement is that we should not let fear of new technology block our creativity. Just like modernism paved its way from technological flood with new ideas and open-mindedness, we need to follow this spirit once again. We should embrace new ideas and opportunities and build a fresher and social environment with technology at hand. Thank you for listening.